Welcome to the course Design of Reinforced Concrete Structures. Myself, S. Kranti Vijaya, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Civil Engineering, Vigyan Institute of Information Technology, Duvada. In this lecture, we are going to discuss the topics, the effect of shear, what is the need of shear reinforcement in beams, and what are the types of shear reinforcement. So first let us start with the effect of shear. So a beam, when it is loaded with transverse loads, that is, if there is a beam and if that particular beam is loaded with some loads, here let me draw the load. So what, that particular beam will be subjected to the shear forces and the bending moment, is it or not? So this particular beam, what will happen when load is applied, it will bend and it will subjected to the shear forces and the bending moments. So the shear force and the bending moments will result in the shear stresses and the bending stresses across the cross section. So due to the shear forces and the bending moments, what this particular beam, okay, will result in the shear stresses and the bending stresses along the cross section of this particular beam. Now due to these bending stresses and the shear stresses, what will be the effect on the beam? So to see the effect, let us consider an example of a simply supported beam and analyze the effect due to the bending and the shear stresses. So here let us consider a simply supported beam A, B, which is subjected to a load. So when this particular beam is subjected to a load, what it will happen? It will start bending, isn't it or not? What it will happen? It will start bending. So due to the bending, what is happening? The topmost part is under compression and the bottommost part will be in tension. So this is going to be our neutral axis. So the topmost part is under compression and the bottommost part is under tension. So now let us draw the shear force and bending moment diagrams for this particular beam. So what will be the shear force diagram here? So this is how our shear force diagram is going to look like. So what? At the mid span, the shear force will be 0 and the shear force will be maximum at the supports. So here the shear force is maximum and the similar way here the shear force is maximum. Now let us draw the bending moment diagram. So how the bending moment diagram will be? This is how the bending moment diagram will be. So at the mid span, the bending moment will be maximum and at the supports, the bending moment will be 0. The bending moment will be 0. Now let us consider a element in the tensile zone of this particular beam after bending. So for suppose, here what I am doing is I am considering a small element at the mid span in the tensile zone, and I am naming this particular element as 1. So here, if I will draw this particular element here, okay, so I am considering the element where? At the mid span, that too in the tensile zone. So what you can observe here, at this particular place, okay, the element where we are taking, the shear forces are 0 and the bending moment is maximum. That is, this particular element is subjected to bending tensile stresses. So what it is? Subjected to the bending tensile stresses, as the bending moment is maximum here. So it is not subjected to the shear stresses, it is subjected only to the bending tensile stresses. So what is happening here? So this is the element. As this particular element is subjected to the bending tensile stresses, these two stresses will try to pull the element apart. So that what happens? Cracks will be forming in this particular element. So how the cracks will be? There will be formation of vertical cracks. So when the particular element is subjected to bending tensile stresses, what? There will be formation of vertical cracks. The vertical cracks, or you can also call it as flexural cracks. Now let us consider an other element in between the mid span and the support. So here what I am considering another small element. That element is in between the mid span. So this is the mid span and this is the support. So in between that two I am considering an element. So if you'll see this particular element, to what stresses this particular element is subjected to? So the element is here. Here we have shear stresses as well as the bending moment. So shear force is there as well as the bending moment is there. So what it will be subjected to both the shear stresses as well as the bending stresses. So it is subjected to both the bending stresses as well as the tensile as well as the shear stresses. What? This particular element 2 is subjected to both the bending stresses as well as the shear stresses. So the bending stresses, these are the bending tensile stresses and these are the shear stress. So due to this what happens? There will be formation of cracks due to the stresses. There will be formation of cracks at angle of 45 to 90. So in between this angle there will be formation of cracks due to the bending tensile stresses as well as the shear stresses. Now let us consider another elemental strip at the support. So I am considering an elemental strip at the support. So at the support what we have? At the support the shear force is maximum and the bending moment is 0. Then what? This particular element is subjected only to the shear stresses as there are no bending stresses here. So this particular element is subjected to shear stresses, that is tau max. That is because here it is the maximum shear force. So it is subjected to the shear stresses. So when this particular element is subjected to shear stresses, how it behaves? So the tension which is caused due to these shear stresses is called as diagonal tension. And due to the diagonal tension, what happens is there will be formation of diagonal cracks which are at an angle of 45 degrees. So what there will be formation of cracks, those cracks are called as diagonal cracks, and they are formed at an angle of 45. So what, due to the bending stresses and the shear stresses, what, there are formation of vertical cracks or the flexural cracks. Here we have the cracks which are forming at 45 degrees to 90 degrees, which are called as flexural shear cracks. Here there is a formation of cracks which are called as the diagonal cracks. So let us draw all the cracks in the beam section. So if this is the beam, so this element is where it is at the middle of the beam, that is at the mid span. So at the mid span, what are the cracks which are forming? Those are the vertical cracks. So this will be our vertical cracks or the flexural cracks. Okay, so at the midpoint, that is in between the mid span and the support, what are the cracks which are forming? The cracks are the flexural shear cracks which are forming at an angle in between 45 degrees to 90 degrees. So here in the middle, the cracks which are formed are the flexural shear cracks. Now at the supports, what is happening? The cracks which are formed are diagonal cracks and they are at 45 degrees. So the cracks which are formed here are the diagonal cracks and they are formed at an angle of 45 degrees. So these are the cracks which are forming in this particular beam due to the bending and the shear stresses. So what, generally concrete is good in shear, but concrete cannot resist the diagonal cracks, that is the cracks which are forming at 45 degrees at the support and as well as near the support. So due to that, as concrete is weak in tension and concrete cannot resist the diagonal cracks which are formed due to the maximum shear force, because at the supports the shear force is maximum, is it or not? So due to that, what we have to do is to make the beam stronger, that is to reduce the cracks or to avoid the formation of cracks in the particular beam, we have to provide the shear reinforcement. So to what? To resist the diagonal tension and the cracks which are formed due to the diagonal tension, the shear reinforcement has to be provided. So what is the need of shear reinforcement in beams? So what? The tension, it is caused in the tensile zone of the beam due to what? Shear at the support. So that particular tension is called as the diagonal tension, and that diagonal tension is resulting in the diagonal cracks which are forming at 45 degrees at the supports. And as concrete is, even though it is strong in shear, but it cannot resist the diagonal tension. Okay. So due to that, what we are providing? We are providing the shear reinforcement in the RCC beam so that they can take the diagonal tension and it can prevent cracking of the beams. So why we are providing the shear reinforcement? To resist the diagonal tension and the cracks forming due to the diagonal tension. So for that reason we have to provide the shear reinforcement in the beams. So now let us see what are the types of shear reinforcements, how the shear reinforcement is provided and what are the types of shear reinforcement provided in the beams. So the types of shear reinforcements which are provided in the beams are the vertical stirrups, the bent up bars along with the vertical stirrups and the inclined stirrups. So we can provide either the vertical stirrups or the bent up bars with the vertical stirrups as a shear reinforcement or the inclined stirrup. Now let us see how the vertical stirrups are provided as a shear reinforcement. So the vertical stirrups, how the vertical stirrups are provided? What are the vertical stirrups? The vertical stirrups are nothing but the steel bars that are placed around the tensile reinforcement at suitable spacing along the beam's length. If this is a beam, so you can see this is a beam. So what? This is the tensile reinforcement, isn't it or not? These are the tensile reinforcements what you can see here. So how the vertical stirrups are provided as a shear reinforcement? They are provided in the form of steel bars. So these are the steel bars what you can see here. Okay. So these steel bars are placed around the tensile reinforcement. So around the tensile reinforcement these steel bars are placed at a suitable spacing. So you can see this is one stirrup and this is other stirrup and this is other stirrup. So there is a spacing between two stirrups, isn't it or not? So and they are placed at a suitable spacing throughout the length of the beam. So along the length of the beam they have placed the stirrups, and generally the diameter of these stirrups ranges between 6 mm to 16 mm. So these stirrups, the diameter of these stirrups will be in between 6 mm to 16 mm. So what? The free ends of the stirrups are fixed to the anchor bars or the compressive reinforcement in the beam's compression area. So if it is a singly reinforced beam, so in a singly reinforced beam what? We will design only the tensile reinforcement. So in such kind of cases at the top we will provide the anchor bars so that we can fix the stirrups at the top. So if it is a double reinforced beam, obviously there will be a compression reinforcement so that the stirrups can be fixed to the compression reinforcement in the compression area. So these are the vertical stirrups which are provided as a shear reinforcement to resist the diagonal cracks or the diagonal tension. Now, depending upon the magnitude of shear force to be resisted, the vertical stirrups are single-legged stirrup, two-legged stirrup, four-legged stirrup and six-legged stirrup. So the figures are given here. So why it is called as a single-legged stirrup? So if you see this is a T-beam, so only one stirrup is placed, it has only one leg, so it is a single-legged stirrup. So in two-legged stirrup you have two legs. So that is the reason why it is called as a two-legged stirrup. So in the four-legged stirrups you have 1, 2, 3 and 4. 4 legs. So in a six-legged stirrups 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. There are 6 legs. So based on the number of legs, the stirrups may be either single-legged or two-legged, four-legged and six-legged stirrup. So how you will provide a single legged or a two legged or a four legged or a six legged stirrup? It is based on the magnitude of the shear force which has to be resisted by the stirrups. So in most of the cases, the stirrups are closely spaced so that we can prevent the diagonal cracks, and the spacing of the stirrups near the support is smaller than the spacing near the midspan. Why? Because if suppose okay, so if we are providing, this is the support. At the support what? The stirrups are placed closely. The stirrups are what? They are placed closely. Because what? At the support the shear force is maximum. And at the center the shear force is 0. So for that reason, at the supports, the spacing between the stirrups will be less, and at the middle the spacing will be more. So this is regarding the vertical stirrup. So the next type of stirrups what we can use is the bent up bars along with the vertical stirrups. So here we are using the vertical stirrups as well as the tensile reinforcement will be bent. So what is meant by bent up bars along with the vertical stirrup? So some of the longitudinal bars in a beam are bent up near the support where there is no need of resisting the bending moment, so that those longitudinal bars which can bend up can resist the diagonal stresses. If you will observe this particular figure, so these are the vertical stirrups which are provided. So at the bottom what we'll have? We'll have the longitudinal reinforcement, that is the tensile reinforcement. So what in this bent up bars along with the vertical stirrups, we are going to provide the vertical stirrups as well as the longitudinal bars, that is the tensile reinforcement is bent at an angle of 45 degrees. Okay, it is bent at an angle of 45 degrees, that too at the supports. Why? Because at the supports there is no need of taking the bending moment, as the bending moment is 0. So at that place, at the support, so this is the support, we can what we can do, the longitudinal bars or the tensile reinforcement can be bent. So that is called as the bent up bars along with the vertical stirrups. And the equal number of bars are to be bent on both sides to maintain symmetry. So what? On both the sides what? The equal number of longitudinal bars has to be bent so that a symmetry can be maintained. So this is another type of the shear reinforcement which can be provided. So the next type of shear reinforcement is the inclined stirrups. So what are the inclined stirrups? So previously we have provided the vertical stirrups. So those vertical stirrups are only inclined here. So at what angle they are inclined? They are provided at the 45 degrees. So if you see here, these are the inclined stirrups which are provided at an angle of 45 degrees. So why when we have to provide the inclined stirrups? So that inclined stirrups are generally provided in beams, because in some cases the principal tensile forces are acting in an inclined direction. So if the principal tensile forces are acting in the inclined direction, so it will be better if the shear reinforcement is provided in the inclined direction, so that it will be more effective. So for that reason what? The stirrups are provided inclinedly, so at an angle of 45 degrees. So That type of shear reinforcement is called as an inclined stirrup. These are the types of shear reinforcement what we have to provide. So in today's lecture, what we have discussed regarding the effects of shear stresses and the bending stresses, and what are the types of shear reinforcements we have to provide to resist the diagonal cracks. Thank you.